Hello and welcome to Currency Point, presented by me, Evan Lucas, for FP Markets. As always, please have a very good read through of the disclaimer on screen. Everything in this video is general in nature, none of which relied upon as any form of personal advice. FP Markets does not know your personal scenario, nor your personal financial goals, and therefore none of which relied upon as any form of advice at all. It is just general in nature only. They better roll it back, or at least that's what I'm trying to sort of call this whole principle. If you have a look at the last 2 weeks, markets have really just sort of jumped on this idea that central banks are going to start rolling it back. And that's true to some extent. You need to see what they're saying, but also the fact if you look at things like construction work, retail spending, consumer confidence, and therefore also increases in debt repayments, there's a reason to make that call, and it's fair and reasonable. But rolling it back does not mean stopping, and it may not actually mean rolling it back in any shape or form. And there's just a question of whether or not the market's got ahead of itself in terms of where it is. Because if you listen particularly to the FOMC, they are still really, really hawkish. There's no other way to put it to you. You listen to someone like Chris Waller, for instance, who was here in Australia last week, pointing out very, very clearly that the market needs to calm down, that one data point does not make a difference. Yes, he points out that things are getting better, but it's far, far away from where their mandate is. He was backed up by John Williams, who also said that as soon as you start adding financial instability into part of the whole idea of monetary policy, they'll get away from what they're trying to do. And that is to slow down financial conditions, because increasing financial conditions is against what the Fed wants to do. And again, it means that next week's Fed meeting is much more live than I think we realize. And you listen to someone like Mary Daly, who is probably more of a milder hawk. She still thinks that a 4.75 to 5.25% Fed rate is plausible and probably needed. And that's an incredible raising from where we are right now. So all of that means that at the moment, the pricing you're seeing in euro dollar, in cable, in dollar CAD, in Aussie US, is on the idea that that round down is coming, and therefore it might actually be in the right direction. I'm not so sure. I think that there is every chance the US dollar gets another rally here because it is safety, the possibility of recession is on the upside, and the real yields that are going to be offered in the States are going to be there. The caveat to that is dollar yen. Dollar yen is always and still remains to be one that is the truest to any form of fundamentals and is linked to real yields. If a recession was to build, and it's obviously very clearly there, you would expect long-dated bonds to start falling. So real yields will go backwards at that end, and that pair tends to look at that way. And that's why it's moved away from 150 down to 140 yen, which makes complete sense. But the rest of them, I'm not so sure. If you listen to someone like Christine Lagarde, who is now saying that she'll even put the Eurozone into a recession to get inflation back to mandate, that in itself should show you that we're in for volatility and a little bit of chaos, and therefore all things leads to safety. And that's why I still think the US dollar is an interesting place to be.